Hello there.
The cinema courtroom is now in session.
Ladies and gentlemen of the esteemed jury, welcome once again to the Cinema Courtroom Show. I am your host and galactic judge, Makram Mark, presiding over, yet again, another groundbreaking and suspenseful episode. Although not as suspenseful as the movie I've just watched a few minutes ago, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. For your information, I'm still, trying to get over that movie while reviewing another, classic movie. But whether it's a classic movie or a new movie or whatever movie, we put your favorite blockbuster motion pictures on trial here in the Cinema Courtroom. Whether you're listening on Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, or the Cinema Courtroom YouTube channel for exclusive video coverage almost daily, we thank you for tuning in and ask that you do not forget to like and subscribe on your way out. Every click on the icon counts, so please ring the notification bell and share this podcast with your friends, family, cat, dog, pigeon, whomever. We do not discriminate here. Oh, and don't forget to rate the Cinema Courtroom Show out of 5 on your favorite platforms as well, preferably Spotify. Because trust me, it really helps boost the algorithm machine, more than you know. Now, without further ado, let's review, directed by none other than Martin Scorsese, Taxi Driver.
June 29th. I gotta get in shape now. Too much sitting has ruined my body. Too much abuse has gone on for too long. From now on, it'll be 50 push-ups each morning, 50 pull-ups. There will be no more pills. There will be no more bad food. No more destroyers of my body. From now on, it'll be total organization. Every muscle must be tight. The idea had been growing in my brain for some time. True force. All the king's men cannot put it back together again.
Taxi Driver is a psychological drama directed by Martin Scorsese that delves into the descent into madness of the character Travis Bickle, a Vietnam War veteran turned insomniac taxi driver in 1970s New York City. Travis's growing disillusion with society and his substantial obsession with saving a young 12-year-old prostitute named Iris drive him to the edge of sanity. Okay, now Taxi Driver belongs to a rare list of movies that are a cinematic classic. Yeah, I think cinematic classic is an apt description for Taxi Driver. It's not a Star Wars or Lord of the Rings epic fantasy classic, which is the ones I usually prefer over, the grounded and more non-complex ones. But it's still very appealing because the narrative itself is grounded and centered on a character with multiple personality disorder. And as you begin to view the movie, you begin to realize that the character exhibits signs of various psychological issues, including isolation, delusions, and a fractured sense of identity. Travis Bickle's mental state throughout this motion picture is characterized by a profound disconnection from reality, as well as his insomnia combined with the psychological scars of his experiences in the US military. So I find Taxi Driver to be a very somewhat short and straightforward take, only 1 hour and 50 minutes, on how a character like Travis jumps from point A, a calm overnight taxi driver who wants to find something productive to do with his limitless spare time. Although he still has a troubled mind, he hasn't broken bad yet. He's not acting on his impulsive urges to do something incredibly violent and illegal. To point B, where Travis constructs a heroic persona for himself, perceiving himself as a righteous avenger who must save the city from its moral decay. My point being is this Taxi Driver picture, it's not complex. It's easy to digest and review. On that note, because it is very damn easy for me to talk about, I'm just going to be covering 3 components of Taxi Driver, beginning with the plot, which will begin with its tone and who the character Travis Bickle actually is. And then we're going to move on to the acting performances, which is undoubtedly important for just any movie, not just Taxi Driver. And my review on the acting performances of this movie will be focusing more on Robert De Niro. And I also want to go in depth about why I think the third act of Taxi Driver is probably my favorite act of the whole movie. Beginning with the riveting plot of Taxi Driver. The plot of Taxi Driver is a dark and compelling exploration of urban alienation and a single man's descent into madness. Martin Scorsese and Paul Schrader craft a narrative that delves deep into the seedy underbelly of New York City, examining themes of isolation, obsession, and the search for redemption, right? And the film centers around, again, as I've mentioned before in this review opening, Travis Bickle, who of course you know if you watch the movie, a Vietnam War veteran turned insomniac taxi driver, haunted by his experiences and his inability to form a connection with other individuals. Travis becomes increasingly disillusioned with society as he drives through the city streets with his taxi vehicle, no less, and encounters a range of characters, from the corrupt politicians to the pimps and prostitutes who inhabit the New York shadows. And I think that the stark portrayal of the city's decay serves as a metaphor for Travis's own deteriorating mental state and his growing detachment to reality from reality. Think Batman in the cursed streets of Gotham, except Batman isn't cynical as its criminals, whereas Travis Bickle, who's assuming the vigilante role, is just as messed up as the criminals. Travis' alienation and frustration eventually manifest into a obsession. Yeah, I think that's a suitable word to describe Travis's mental state. And he is obsessed with consolidating a young prostitute, Iris, played by Judy Foster. And Travis is fueled by a mix of righteous anger and a desire for connection. Travis becomes convinced that he is on a mission to rescue Iris from her exploitive surroundings. This obsession drives Travis Bickle mad and compels him to plan a violent act that he believes will bring about a cathartic cleansing, if you will, of the New York City. The plot of Taxi Driver unfolds through an array of internal monologues from Travis, educating the audience about his twisted psyche and giving them a glimpse to it. These monologues unveil Travis Bickle's inner turmoil, moral conundrums, and his struggle to sought meaning and purpose in a world that he perceives as irreparably broken. Through Travis' narration, we get to witness as the audience the gradual unraveling of his mind and the dangerous path he embarks upon, especially in the third act, which I can't wait to talk about because that's what I love the most about the movie. As the movie Taxi Driver progresses, the tension and unease escalate, leading to a cinematic and violent finale that blurs the line between heroism and villainy. The resolution is as ambiguous as it is unsettling to the vast majority of viewers. Don't like the sight of blood and shooting, leaving the audience to grapple with the implications of Travis's actions. And I think the film also wants to confront the larger societal issues back then, and I suppose it can be applicable today as well. And I believe that the strength of the Taxi Driver plot lies in its ability to engage viewers on multiple levels. It serves as a character study of Travis Bickle. And just like, Phoenix's Joker, the movie examines the psychological complexities of a disturbed individual and the societal factors that contribute to his isolation. Just as society has failed Travis, I think that the narrative of Taxi Driver serves as a much collective critique of urban decay and the moral deterioration of society as a whole, not only Travis Bickle. Listen, I think that Taxi Driver effectively presents a bleak and uncompromising vision of a world on the brink of chaos. It forces audiences to confront uneasy truths about, again, the darker aspects of human nature and the repercussions of societal neglect. Through Taxi Driver's dark and complex plot, the film invites reflection and introspection, provoking discussions about the boundaries of sanity and, the distinction between heroism and villainy, and the quest for redemption in a world that is cold and unforgiving. All in all, the plot of Taxi Driver is indeed gripping and thought-provoking because it navigates once again the themes of isolation, obsession, and societal decay with unflinching realism. And I really think that Scorsese and Schrader's collaboration creates a narrative that continues to just evoke interest in the audience's consciousness. And it even challenges conventional storytelling, where it's usually the righteous hero saving that 12-year-old prostitute. When anything, it was a villain who, killed a bunch of people in order to achieve that objective. So, yeah. And also, the plot of Taxi Driver leaves behind a lasting impact on those who experience its haunting tale. Now, how about the acting in Taxi Driver? Well, I think that's nothing short of exceptional, with Robert De Niro delivering a career-defining performance as the troubled protagonist Travis Bickle. De Niro's portrayal is indeed a masterclass in character acting, in my opinion, as Robert De Niro fully immerses himself in Travis's complicated physique, bringing a sense of organic elements and intensity to the role. De Niro's physical transformation for the role is remarkable, from Travis's military-style haircut to his intense gaze and unsettling demeanor. De Niro embodies the character with a haunting presence. His commitment to the role is evident in every scene that I've seen of him in Taxi Driver, as he seamlessly transitions between moments of quiet introspection and then explosive outbursts of violence, crafting a character that is both sympathetic and deeply disturbed. Robert De Niro's ability to just convey a diversity of emotions through subtle facial expressions and body language is it's incredible. De Niro's performance is also marked by diligent emphasis on detail. He famously drove a taxi for several weeks in order to prepare for the role. True story. And that, I think, immersed himself in the experiences of real-life taxi drivers. I mean, who hasn't gone on a taxi at least, a few times in their life? I mean, I've been on plenty of taxis. I'm sure if you're listening, you've probably been on a taxi. And if not, then I'm amazed. But it's kind of like you're watching a movie about a regular guy on a taxi. And he's a relatable guy because chances are you've been on a taxi, so you can relate to said guy. I mean, it's not a complicated equation of audience immersion. I mean, that's how you do it. Immerse the audience 101. And Robert De Niro also absorbs the mannerisms and nuances of taxi drivers. Now you're probably going to be like, Makram, it ain't deep. You're riding a taxi. Well, you'd be surprised at how that takes up most of your day if you're working as a taxi driver. And if any of you taxi drivers in the house are listening, then please comment down below and tell me your experience, because from the way I notice it, it's pretty much, other than boring, it's a very repetitive cycle. You're familiar with every location of the town, maybe the people, if they save your contact number and ask you for another ride, and you do it because that's how you make a living. So, yeah, your mannerisms and nuances are bound to reflect that. And I think that this dedication that Robert De Niro has shines through in his portrayal as he captures the physicality and, again, the demeanors of a weary and disillusioned cabbie. De Niro's portrayal is so authentic and lived in that it feels as though Travis Bickle exists beyond the confines of the film. I mean, imagine if we had a serial killer taxi driver. I mean, we probably do. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if after this podcast I just Google something for my own interest and see if there is a Travis Bickle out there. So, I mean, it's a testament to how real the movie feels and how it's like, how do I know this didn't actually happen to Martin Scorsese, or that Martin Scorsese is a genocidal taxi driver himself? Because it's almost too real when you're watching the movie, and the acting again cements that notion. The supporting cast of Taxi Driver also delivers strong performances, contributing to the film's overall brilliance. Judy Foster shines as Iris, the young prostitute whom Travis becomes determined to rescue. Despite her tender age at the time of filming Taxi Driver, Foster delivers a mature and nuanced performance, exhibiting the complex mix of innocence and world weariness that defines her character. And as I watched that movie, and seeing the Judy Foster's performance, it really, it was not really nice. The feelings I had, because it is horrifying how sex trafficking is a fucking thing, and back then and today it's still ongoing. And I think Taxi Driver shed light on a very upsetting issue. And believe me, I think sex traffickers, it's one of the few times where I'm like, the court of justice won't do it justice. Like, take matters in your own hands and kill those motherfuckers, because those people, they are, I'm almost convinced they're a mistake. And anyone who tries to rationalize them are scumbag human beings. So, yeah, that's how I was feeling seeing the Iris character. And if that was the intention of her portrayal, well done, Martin Scorsese. You succeeded. And that just shows that Judy Foster's portrayal of Iris adds a layer of empathy and tragedy to the story, heightening the emotional impact of Taxi Driver. Also, Harvey Keitel's portrayal of Sport, Iris's pimp, is equally compelling. Because, A, I want to, shove that guy's head down the toilet and suffocate them, because that is what he's doing is disgusting. And Keitel brings a menacing quality to the role of a pimp, perfectly embodying the sleazy and manipulative nature of the character. And his performance adds a sense of danger and moral ambiguity, crafting a formidable antagonist for Travis Bickle. Keitel's ability to infuse depth in even the most despicable characters is a testament to his talent as an actor. Because if you can play someone who is so bad, and, obviously, that I know of, Keitel isn't a sex trafficker in real life, but if you can just put aside your moral compass and put all your energy into a horrific role, I have respect for those actors, because that's what acting is. You're an entirely different person on the set. And then after that, you get, whatever counseling, if you need any. You get your mind back on track as a morally rounded human being. But when you're filming as the character, your mind has to reflect a character like Sport. So, yeah, the acting in Taxi Driver is brilliant because of that very reason. It's real. And what's also real is the chemistry between the actors, which is again another notable aspect of the film. The interactions between De Niro and Foster are both unsettling and yet again tender, as their characters form an unlikely connection. The scenes that De Niro and Foster share are charged with an uncomfortable mix of empathy and unease, as Travis's obsession with saving Iris clashes with the harsh reality of her situation. And both the performances together create a tension that fuels the film's narrative and intensifies its emotional impact. In addition to the lead and supporting actors, Taxi Driver is populated by a talented ensemble cast, from Albert Brooks as Travis's fellow cab driver to Peter Boyle as the enigmatic wizard. Each character brings a distinct performance to their respective roles, contributing to the film's rich tapestry, in my opinion, of characters. Overall, for the acting, it is one of the standout elements of the film. Robert De Niro's transformative performance as Travis Bickle is a tour de force, showcasing his immense talent and ability to fully inhabit a character. His portrayal is a haunting and nuanced exploration of a messed up mind on the brink of self-destruction. The supporting cast further elevates this movie, delivering performances that complement and enhance the narrative. The combined efforts of the actors contribute to Taxi Driver's enduring impact as a motion picture of its time, making Taxi Driver a cinematic experience in large part due to the exceptional acting performances of Robert De Niro and Judy Foster. If you've been captivated by what you've heard so far, prepare yourself for a treat throughout the remainder of this podcast, because we're not finished, ladies and gentlemen. But before we proceed, let me take a moment to remind you of an exciting opportunity. You can become one of, yes, the first listeners to enjoy new episodes on my audio feed. And hear this? It only requires 2 simple steps. To ensure you never miss a single captivating episode of the Cinema Courtroom Show, simply hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell right now. Or rate this podcast out of 5 on Spotify, Anchor, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, or even the Cinema Courtroom YouTube channel for exclusive video coverage every week. We've got you covered. Prepare yourself to dive deep in the thrilling realm of movie verdicts and industry affairs with the Cinema Courtroom Show. And here's an exciting bonus for all of our esteemed listeners. By subscribing to the Cinema Courtroom today, I can promise you a front row seat to insightful discussions and thought-provoking debates that will enhance your movie watching experience. Look, this is the perfect podcast for movie connoisseurs like yourself. I am your host, Makram, urging you to subscribe and join our cinema jury, where we determine the verdicts. All you have to do is look up and subscribe to the Cinema Courtroom on Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, or the Cinema Courtroom YouTube channel today. Embrace the power of justice in the Cinemaverse with the Cinema Courtroom, powered by real passion, fueling film and TV fandom. Alright, so before I talk about the superior third act of Taxi Driver and my closing statements for this hearing, a scene from this Taxi Driver film has come to mind that I want to reminiscence in a bit more depth. That's what I usually like to do in those program breaks, because it gives you guys time to, grab yourself something to eat or drink, or maybe you want to hear me share a bonus insight that, I haven't scripted or in my notes. So a scene came to mind. Okay. So Travis seeks advice from Wizard, an older taxi driver played by Peter Boyle. This scene showcases Travis's desperation and his longing for guidance amidst his deteriorating mental state. I'm going to play a quick excerpt from this scene right now. Take a listen.
You can have it all you want. Hey, don't behave now, man. Don't behave. You better take your ass off.
Yeah? Well, I know you and I ain't talked too much,
Yeah.
But I figure you've been around a lot, so you could...
Yeah, shoot, that's why they call me the Wizard.
It's just that I gotta...
Things got you down?
Yeah.
Happens to the best of.
Yeah, it got me real down, I just want to go out and really do something.
Taxi life, you mean?
Yeah, well... Nah, it's... I don't know. I just want to go out. I really want to... I got some bad ideas in my head. I just can't.
Oh, look at it this way, a man takes a job, And that job, that becomes what he is. You do a thing and that's what you want. I've been a cabbie for 17 years, 10 years at night. I still don't own my own cab. Why? Because I don't want to. I must be what I want. To be on the night shift, driving somebody else's cab. You understand? You get a job, you become the job. One guy lives in Brooklyn, one guy lives in Sutton Place, you get a lawyer, another guy's a doctor, another guy dies, another guy gets well, and, people are born. I envy your youth. Go out, get laid. Get drunk, do anything. Because you got no choice anyway. We're all fucked. More or less,
Yeah, I don't know. That's about the dumbest thing I ever heard.
It's not Bertrand Russell, but what do you want? I'm a cabbie, What do I know? I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I don't know either.
Don't worry so much. Relax, killer. You're gonna be all right. I know. I've seen a lot of people, and I know.
Okay, thanks, man. I guess.
As you could hear, Travis, plagued by his internal turmoil and growing alienation from society, turns to Wizard for some semblance of wisdom. The scene basically takes place in the cab garage, a gritty and dimly lit place that mirrors Travis's inner darkness. So we have Travis approaching Wizard, who sits in his cab And then he opens up about his disillusionment and the overwhelming sense of loneliness that he feels. He confesses his desire to do something meaningful and make a difference, expressing his frustration with the world at large, surrounding him, but not revolving around him. Wizard, a seasoned taxi driver, he listens attentively, and you could tell from his weathered face that the weight of the experience of just the world has dawned on him. So I found the wizard's response to Travis to be both cryptic and profound. And he advises Travis to get organized and emphasizes the importance of finding a purpose in life. He also suggests that Travis should understand himself before attempting to understand the world that he's in. The exchange between Travis and Wizard is infested with a mix of uncertainty and just vulnerable feelings, as well as the yearning for redemption. This one scene encapsulates the film's exploration of the human condition and the search for meaning in a chaotic world. Travis's quest for guidance symbolizes his desperate attempt to reconcile his fractured psyche and find a path forward. This scene's atmosphere, coupled with the poignant performances of Robert De Niro and Peter Boyle, creates a powerful and introspective moment that lingers in the minds of the audience. Alright, ladies and gentlemen. Now, that was just me talking about one scene from the movie. Now, we're going to be talking about the third act of Taxi Driver. But before I continue, I'd like to remind you again to be sure to rate this podcast out of 5 if you're listening on Spotify or whatever platform supports ratings, because this is going to at least push this podcast through the, what I find to be a very complex algorithm. And seeing that we're not going to be slaves to that algorithm and just make content that the algorithm wants, and I'm just going to share, my genuine feelings about a movie and, news and whatnot, it really helps if we manually push this episode and all my other episodes of the Cinema Courtroom Show. So, yeah, I just wanted to use up whatever's left of this program break to remind you of that. Okie dokie. Now let's talk about the third act of Taxi Driver. The third act of Taxi Driver is a harrowing descent into darkness as the narrative reaches its climax, ladies and gentlemen, and the consequences of Travis Bickle's fractured psyche come to fruition. Martin Scorsese and Paul Schrader masterfully navigate the complexities of Travis Bickle's character arc, delivering a powerful and unsettling conclusion that leaves a long-term effect on the audience viewing this movie. And as the movie hurtles towards its climax, the mounting tension is indeed palpable. Travis's, again, obsession with saving Iris, which is a significant plot point of this movie, propels him into a violent and desperate mission. So, the scenes leading up to this third act are suffused with a sense of impending doom, enhanced by the atmospheric cinematography and the haunting score. The third act of this movie showcases Robert De Niro's acting prowess at its peak as he fully embodies the disturbing transformation of Travis. And you know what I also found? That De Niro's performance is riveting as he seamlessly transitions between moments of calm introspection and explosive bursts of violence. We witness Travis's internal struggle played out in the first act of Taxi Driver and the second act of Taxi Driver on the screen. And his desire for redemption colliding with his simmering anger and disillusionment with the gritty society that he's under. The climatic scene, set in the infamous Times Square, serves as a culmination of Travis's journey. Scorsese's direction is most definitely unflinching. The scene, as I've watched it, I found it to be raw, brutal, and all in all, quite, for viewers who are not that desensitized to blood and gore. To those viewers, which I don't happen to belong in the same category as, but there are some viewers that will find it difficult to watch, evoking a visceral response from those people. Taxi Driver, the third act of it, that is, forces us to confront the consequences of societal neglect and the profound impact of one man's descent into madness. And the more I ponder about it, the more I can see the parallels to Phoenix's Joker in The Joker 2019. Because that movie portrays one man and his journey into darkness. The aftermath of this climatic scene in the third act leaves a haunting impression for sure. Travis becomes a symbol of both heroism, the Batman people think that he is, even though he's, not Batman at all. And by the way, they don't actually think that he's Batman, but they see him the way we see a vigilante hero like Spider-Man, Batman, or rather, however Hollywood likes to portray vigilante characters. They see him as that. But then there's also that villainy symbolism, embodying the contradictions of a society that simultaneously craves salvation, but then just as that salvation shows up on their doorstep, they reject it. The ambiguous ending allows for interpretation and introspection, leaving the audience to grapple with the moral complexities of the narrative. Taxi Driver maintains its unflinching exploration of urban decay, moral ambiguity, and how fragile, again, the human psyche is. Scorsese and Schrader craft a narrative that is deeply unsettling, challenging mainstream norms and forcing viewers to confront uncomfortable truths, not only about the serial killers among us, but about ourselves. The visceral impact of Taxi Driver's third act lingers after the credits roll, leaving a lasting impression and provoking contemplation. My point being, and I'm going to be talking about my final thoughts for this movie in a second, but my point is that the third act of Taxi Driver is a powerful and haunting culmination of Travis Bickle's journey. Scorsese's direction, coupled with Robert De Niro's mesmerizing performance, curates a visceral and thought-provoking experience. The conclusion of Taxi Driver is unapologetically intense, leaving the audience with a profound sense of unease and a lingering reflection on the complexities of the human condition. I think that the third act of Taxi Driver stands as a testament to the shocking power of cinema when it comes to exploring the darkest corners of the human psyche and challenging societal norms. So, now, what are my overall thoughts on this movie? Taxi Driver is undoubtedly a well-shot picture, especially considering its time of theatrical distribution, where filming technology was, limited in terms of what it could achieve with cinematography. And I just have to say that Taxi Driver's cinematography captures the gritty and atmospheric essence of New York City, immersing the audience in the urban landscape. I think that the visual style enhances the narrative of Taxi Driver. When it comes to criticisms, I don't have many to offer in this closing statement. Perhaps the ending could be perceived as somewhat ambiguous, because the film leaves it open to interpretation whether Travis and Betsy will pursue a romantic relationship, or if she merely has a degree of admiration for him, just like the rest of the society when they found out in the newspapers and TV that Travis took down a pimp. Additionally, the consequences of Travis's actions raise ethical questions. Despite his noble intentions, and oh boy, were those intentions noble. Because if you're, as I've said many times in this review, well, not many times, but I mentioned it once. But hey, I'll say it again. Pimps deserve whatever is coming to them. And so there's that. However, I would be concerned for Travis, legally speaking, because he is still a civilian who took the life of another civilian. The sheer ambiguity surrounding the ending and the moral implications of Travis's choices can leave the viewer with lingering uncertainties. However, I believe that these minor concerns about the ending ultimately add to the film's overall impact. The ambiguous nature of the conclusion allows for personalized interpretations, encouraging members of the audience to engage with Taxi Driver on a much deeper level. And that in turn contributes to the movie's haunting and thought-provoking quality, leaving room for introspection and discussion long after the rolling of the credits. By not providing definitive answers, Taxi Driver invites us to grapple with the moral complexities it presents, further immersing us in its world. Furthermore, Taxi Driver is a compelling and immersive journey into the consciousness of a troubled individual and the dark underbelly of society. It deftly navigates themes of alienation, obsession, and societal decay, shining a light on the complexities of the human condition. As Travis Bickle's character unravels, we are drawn into a world where morality blurs and the line between heroism and villainy becomes increasingly tenuous. And there's a quote, and I know I reference Batman a lot in this review, but I want to reference him again because it resonates with me personally. You either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. So, Travis Bickle and his vigilante, persona is a villain because he has lived long enough to examine the desolate streets of New York and the awful, awful people like Sport who just prey on victims and monetize on their, exploitation. And Travis Bickle does not know how to approach that. Or he doesn't know how to approach that civilly. Because he succeeds in ridding the world of a disgusting pimp. But did he rid himself from the villain label? And that's something that is up to us to determine. And I believe that he is a villain because he, went off the rails as he executed his plans, even though he had noble intentions. Okay, so I want to talk about another attribute when it comes to my final thoughts about this film. While the film does employ violence as a narrative tool, it utilizes violence so purposefully to provoke a reaction and explore the consequences of abandonment. It compels the audience to come to terms with the uncomfortable, objective truth about the world we live in. In addition to those cold statistics, the film's thematic depth and impactful storytelling make it a significant and enduring work of classic cinema. Taxi Driver continues to resonate with audiences because it challenges us to examine our own society and the psychological depths of our minds. It serves as a reminder that even the most isolated and troubled individuals can reflect broader issues within our communities. There are issues that are not black and white. And, I believe child prostitution is worse than Travis Bickle killing some guys. Now, that might say something about how I perceive the chart of immoral and illegal deeds, but, I'm all for taking matters in your own hands if the legal system isn't going to do jack shit. Now, keep in mind, this cannot be applied everywhere where the legal system is actually pretty effective. And now there are places where it isn't effective, but I'm just saying, you gotta know the context before you take matters into your own hands. And I'm not encouraging people to become vigilantes, but it makes you think that if hypothetically a child is going to be exploited to strangers and there's nothing else that can be done about it, then it's kind of like you kind of want to be a bit generous with sentencing the killer of a pimp. Now, I think they should still go to jail because they took a life. But, anyway, this is... I don't want to get into a philosophical discussion or debate, but do you get, how my mind is racing when watching Taxi Driver? And, yeah. So, there's that. And because Taxi Driver delved into the darkest areas of the human mind. This film holds up a mirror to society, urging us to confront uncomfortable truths and prompting conversations that extend beyond the screen. Like that mini philosophical pondering I just had. In conclusion, Taxi Driver is a masterful film that stands the test of time. Its exploration of complex themes, coupled with its technical prowess and unforgettable acting performances, make it an essential piece of cinema. Now, despite any minor criticisms, its thematic depth and impactful storytelling make it a significant and enduring work that continues to provoke thought and discussions even until this very day. We have now reached the end of this podcast. Thank you for tuning in to this weekly dose of the cinema Courtroom show, where in this episode we talked about Taxi Driver. Listen, I hope it goes without saying, but I had a lot of fun recording this podcast. So if you had fun just as I did, just be sure to subscribe if you enjoyed this installment of the Cinema Courtroom. Now, I have a little announcement regarding the release of the next podcast episode. There isn't going to be one this Friday or next Tuesday. I actually think I'm going to be taking a couple weeks off, just, regroup, and yeah. So, by my estimation, we should be back in late July, or maybe sooner. I'll let you guys know via the YouTube community tab, where I send I like to say I'm consistent in my updates there, but I'll let you guys know when the next episode is going to come out, but it's not going to be the traditional Friday release. So, yeah. But if you guys are still impatient for the next episode and want to catch the next one as soon as it comes out, just be sure to check on either Spotify, Anchor, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Substack. I mean, that's a relatively new platform that we're trying out for hosting this podcast. We also have Amazon Music or the Cinema Courtroom YouTube channel for exclusive video coverage when it's available. Thank you once again for listening to this Taxi Driver review till the end. I am your galactic judge, Makram. It's been a great pleasure as always, and I hope you have a spectacular day. Until next time.
Good night, boy.